All right, guys, what's up? We had a question from one of our Primal members. I love these questions. This is a little bit advanced stuff. Basically, but he asked what and how to program for himself the conjugate method. Now, the conjugate method, once you say that, within the strength world, it gets like tied right into West Side Barbell. If you've never heard of West Side Barbell, just look them up. They're one of the premier powerlifting facilities, gyms that breaks world records, and for a long time now has produced basically the best powerlifters in the world. So this has been like in conjugate method, specifically what they use, so it gets used as the West Side method also. But one thing, understand that they did not invent it. It was, we're like 40, 50 years behind the eastern side of the world, specifically like not Soviet, but Russia and all that. Their physical culture as in general is a lot better than ours. And basically they brought it to us. Understand that, like I have books on it that tell the whole story, but we won't get into that. One of the first things you gotta understand, and I'm gonna keep this to the question at hand, is that there's different forms of strength. Keeping it to the question, I'm gonna go over the three. There's about 9 that I know of at least. So maximal strength is one, and basically it's broken down into absolute and relative. Basically, like when anybody finds out that you lift weights, one of the first questions that they ask you is, yo, how much you bench? That's one of the fucking first things. Or I love the one that how much you lift. It's fucking what? What the fuck you talking about? Whatever. It's off topic. But absolute strength is basically, that's specifically what they're asking you. Basically 1 rep. What do you put up for one repetition? Relative strength is very, very important also, and that's something that I preach on here within our walls. Is basically how strong you are compared to your body weight. Since we train a lot of wrestlers, wrestling, you have to be a lot stronger than your body weight, and that's go and be told that. Dynamic is basically explosive. Anything explosive, think any quick lifts, snatches, cleans, but specifically pertaining to powerlifting, you're talking about benching, squatting, and deadlifting. And those, for specific reasons, you're going to use 50-60% of your maxes, and you're going to move the barbell from point A to point B as fast as you literally can. Basically hypertrophy work, or the RE method, repetition, is muscle size and gains. And the reason that we use that in general and for performance is that, basically it goes true that the thicker muscle fibers are, the more force they can produce. And basically if I take a skinny little kid, put some size on him, he'll probably produce more force and resist against forces running or sprinting, and hence he'll get better. But in powerlifting, how you use it is basically accessory work, and to bring in any lagging body parts. Thinking off the top of my head, just stuff like weak hamstrings, glute ham raises, low back. A lot of people have that. So they do specific reps in that 8 and up rep range to bring up them lagging body parts. So basically, now that we've gone over that, we understand that there's different forms of strength, and that's basically what this question is. You have to understand the conjugate method. What is it? It's using multiple factors of strength within the same workout, or same microcycle, the same weekly block, and we'll go over that in a bit. Why do we use it? Because it elicits the best all-around results for performance. Like I said, one of the things I haven't covered yet, but I'm gonna go over right now, is periodization. Periodization is just what we use as performance coaches or strength coaches, getting a person from point A to point B. You could literally, the way that I learned about it was that back in Olympics took a while, but in Greece, in Olympics, when the athletes that were training for the Olympics back then knew that they were 9 months out, they used to, there's a certain date to a set date, and they would literally, now they have a block period, they would block out their workouts, and that's basically periodization. You have an end result, and you have a beginning result, and how you lay out the workouts to get there. So one of the two things of periodization is macro cycles, or block periods, think a month, and microcycles is, there's 4 weeks in a month, so those little weeks are basically microcycles. Understand that when I speak about laying out within the same workout, how to use it, like how I use it specifically with our athletes, is basically we do any power work first. So this is anything explosive, of course after our warm-ups, anything explosive, anything speed drills, lateral drills, agility drills, change of direction drills. We go over a lot of speed mechanics here. That could be a given day, or they could get into, specifically, they could get into, if they're, we build them up doing cleans and snatches, so we use progressions, they're going to hit some type of phase of power work, anything explosive. This is the most neurologically demanding, and you want to do that first in your workout. And also you want to do first in your workout, totally off topic, anything that's brand new. You want to teach when the kids are fresh, so that they're not fatigued and they're not doing patterns that are hard when they're fatigued. Next, you want to go into any strength. So basically, if whatever type of strength, and whatever, again, I don't want to go too deep into it, but periodization plays into this. Maybe you could be hitting a max effort day, maybe you could be hitting a strength endurance day, which is another type of strength. Maybe you could be hitting a work capacity day, or maybe specifically for some kids, they need some hypertrophy work, so we're going to lay that out for them. And well, basically that's next. Anything hypertrophy work would be next, if that's like kind of optional. Accessory work, and then conditioning work. Basically, what some people know as sled dragging, prowler work, any shuttle runs, anything period. Basically, it's what if you've seen the video on happy endings, that's what I call happy endings, and it's just basically getting your heart rate up, intensity high, and keeping it there, which has multiple different effects on the human body. But specifically for our primal client's question, it applies more to strength sports more than athletes, because that's what he wants to know about. Basically, the way I used to lay it out for myself is I used to, and I still do this, but not specifically this, I'm getting into like a different type of training now, but I still could lay it out like this. It would be max effort day upper body, then I would go dynamic effort day lower body. So max effort day, depending on the movement, you could be hitting 4 board presses, you could be hitting max rep, you could be full range bench. You could be adding accommodating resistance. There's a whole bunch of movements that you could be going into that 1 to 5 rep range. Dynamic effort would be, I would program next on the lower body, and the reason I do is because I don't like doing 2 back-to-back max effort days. I could do 2 back-to-back max effort movements, like literally go from a heavy squat to a heavy bench or a heavy dead. That doesn't bother me within the same day. But if I go 2 days back-to-back, it kind of bothers me. And I'm just saying this from my own personal experience. And then third day, I would hit dynamic effort upper body, so anything explosive upper body. And then specifically here, you would use really explosive bench pressing, med ball work, anything explosive period. And we can get into deeper on that. And then max effort lower body. And again, and I did that because I want to separate the max effort days. Those days are truly max effort. They're very demanding and stressful on the body. So if you needed to be, I would add in the hypertrophy work or repetition effort in on those dynamic days. Just because maybe you're hitting like 6 doubles or 8 doubles or 8 sets of triples on deadlifting or squatting, whatever you're doing. So the weight is going to be about 50-60%, and of course you could waive that also, get into that later. But that's when you would want to hit, you still, it's not that taxing, so then that's when you would want to hit your reps, your 8 to 10, 8 to 12 rep zone, 70-75% in those movements that you feel are going to bring up those maxes, and any lagging body parts, and anything that you feel like you need. And then, conditioning work in the mix there also. And that would be pretty much at the end of a workout. Even if you wanted to put the 2 dynamic effort days, there's multiple options here. I'm just laying this out. But you could play around with that. This is just an example. If the person had, you tell me on your time demands, or I only have an hour a day, of course we're going to prioritize what's really important. If you have all the time in the world, then you could work out twice a day, 3 times a day. I know people that do it, can be done. Then you can do multiple things. But one of the things I wanted to tell you specifically is that I did, I'm going to give you an attachment with something that I put together for myself a couple years back that I had some good results on. And again, I explained it, and I gave you percentages and the whole 9 and how to lay it out. And I'm going to give you another link to a pretty good beginner conjugate method workout. It's Joe DeFranco's, I forget what it's called, something for skinny bastard. Something, I'm having a brain fart right now. But it's pretty good because it lays the stuff out for you, pretty simple, very simple to understand. But this is pretty much the conjugate method, and it's an excellent way to go about things. I've played around with multiple different methods of periodization with our athletes to see what has the best. This typically, I mean, this does definitely work, but from time to time, I like to mix it up also. Their bodies get stagnant, I get bored, we get bored, you know, playing, throw it around, whatever the case may be. But that's pretty much it. You got any more questions, hit me up. John, you're gonna get those emails. Just let me know if you need any help with those later.